After a while, the warning signs stop standing out, not because they disappear, but because they start to feel familiar. People usually notice them early. That part isn't complicated. Something feels off. A detail doesn't quite line up. A small discomfort shows up and lingers. What tends to happen next is quieter. People wait. They give it time. They tell themselves it's probably nothing serious. And most of the time, that waiting feels reasonable until it doesn't. You see this pattern everywhere. In people's lives, in relationships, in workplaces, and in entire societies. So this is a slow look at why humans tend to ignore clear warning signs, even when they have recognized them long before anything actually breaks. It's easy to assume that problems escalate because people don't see them coming, but that's rarely true. More often, the signs are noticed and quietly acknowledged, just not acted on. A habit that's getting harder to justify. A situation that keeps requiring explanation. A system that works, but only if no one asks too many questions. These moments don't feel urgent. They don't demand immediate action. They sit in the background, unresolved, waiting to be reinterpreted as something harmless. And that reinterpretation usually comes quickly. Waiting has a logic to it. Acting too early feels dramatic. Overreacting feels embarrassing. Changing course feels disruptive. So people choose patience instead. They assume clarity will arrive later. That more information will help. That time will make the right decision obvious. In many cases, this works, at least temporarily. Nothing collapses right away. Life continues. The system holds. And each time that happens, patience feels validated. Over time, warning signs lose their sharpness. What once felt concerning becomes manageable. What once stood out blends into routine. People adapt, not by solving the problem, but by living around it. They adjust expectations. They lower the bar slightly. They stop asking certain questions. This isn't denial in the dramatic sense. It's accommodation. And accommodation is quiet. At some point, the situation changes, but not in a way that's easy to mark. There's no clear moment where things go wrong. No single decision that feels decisive. Instead, the cost of inaction slowly accumulates. Small compromises stack. Deferred conversations pile up. Temporary measures become permanent. By the time the consequences are obvious, they feel sudden, but they aren't. They've been forming for a long time. When things finally break down, people often describe it as unexpected, out of nowhere, impossible to predict, a sudden turn. But looking back, the path is usually clear. The signs were there. They just didn't feel meaningful at the time. This is part of the pattern, not ignorance, but delayed recognition of significance. This dynamic doesn't stop at the personal level. Organizations do it. Institutions do it. Entire societies do it. Early signals are noted, discussed, and postponed. Warnings are softened. Language becomes careful. Urgency is reframed as alarmism. Change is deferred because stability still exists, even if it's becoming fragile. And as long as things appear functional, momentum favors staying the same. This pattern persists because it works, until it doesn't. Ignoring early warning signs allows systems to keep operating without interruption. It preserves comfort, it avoids conflict, it delays loss. For a while, that trade-off feels worthwhile. The problem is that the bill doesn't disappear, it waits. By the time warning signs demand attention, they often feel overwhelming, not because they were hidden, but because they were tolerated. This isn't about failure or foolishness. It's about how humans tend to respond to slow-moving problems, quietly, patiently, until patience runs out, and then the outcome feels abrupt, even though it rarely is.